All right, let's talk about the Grizzlies, who are currently the fourth seed in the West, and they've got a pretty decent cushion of 3.5 games. Nuggets at number five, and then it's a whole bunch of teams bundled together. They had a big win last night against Phoenix. Ja Morant had basically a buzzer-beating layup where he had to finish through like Mikal Bridges, and I think CP was there, and at least one or two other Suns were all over him. And you also had Desmond Bane, who had like 30-something points, and Bane, his rookie season, you think, 3-and-D guy, maybe some potential off the dribble. This year, he's running more pick and rolls, taking more reckless threes and making them. I mean, he's had his step backs, he's had pull-ups, he has just done so much more on offense than I think a lot of people expected of him, not just this season, but maybe for his whole career. And I think he's definitely in the running for most improved. Of course, this team is also just full of good defensive players, between Dillon Brooks, who is one of the more intense guys in the league, and a lot of the time when watching them, it seems like he is obsessed with slowing down his matchup as much as he can and just getting up on them like at the half-court line, fighting around screens as much as he can. And sure, similar to Jaren Jackson, he can sometimes pick up a few extra fouls that you don't feel great about, but the positive impact is still there. Sure, his shot selection can sometimes be a little frustrating, but I think overall he has still been a big positive for them. I mentioned Jaren Jackson. He had possessions against the Suns where he was switching at times. He had other times where he's stepping up on screens and then getting back to the dive guy, or he is blocking Chris Paul like on a chase down when he gets beat on the initial action. You've got Steven Adams, who Pelicans fans were saying is washed. And I mean, I don't know if Steven Adams is in the running for an all-defense team or anything, but he's definitely not washed up. And then there's the depth. I mean, as Ja Morant was out for however many games and they won nearly every game or whatever it was, Tyus Jones, sure, he wasn't the main reason for that. I mean, Jaren Jackson averaged about 20 points a game in that run, but the fact that you can go to a guy like Tyus Jones, who's steady on defense and is one of the more efficient passers in the league, a lot of teams can't go to that when their main dude goes down, Speaking of Steven Adams, I do think they run some interesting stuff with him up top. I mean, Adams is quietly averaging 3 assists a game this year, which is a lot for him. They'll have cutters off of that sort of stuff. To talk about Jaren Jackson some more. So his offense has been a bit of a mixed bag this season. I mean, during the run with Ja Morant out, he had some big games. 25 against the Raptors, 27 against the Thunder, and games like that, maybe he's making his threes, he's being a pick and pop big guy, but he also has those moments where he takes it off the dribble if he's got a driving lane or he dives to the rim or whatever, and he'll look like a super versatile offensive player. And then other games, his threes aren't going in, or maybe he just doesn't have the handle to really get into the teeth of the defense depending on how they're playing him, and maybe he doesn't always have the physicality to finish around the rim, but his free throw attempts have also been up a bit lately as well. So for what all that means, I don't know. I think he's still been a big positive this season. This team also has an amazing energy about it. I mean, when Ja Morant was out, he was live tweeting every single game, and you can just tell with watching these guys, there is a togetherness with them that I don't think a lot of NBA teams get to. I mean, sometimes even championship teams don't feel as together as this one does. And I think that's an ode to Taylor Jenkins, as well as just this front office, who have really knocked it out of the park ever since they decided to move on from Conley and Gasol. It seems like every move that they've done, they've gotten right. And of course, they've nailed the draft a million times. But also Ja Morant. I mean, your star player is a culture setter. To give props to other guys, there's Brandon Clark, who has looked a bit more like his rookie self this year. I mean, 63% from the field. And I think a lot of that is just playing off the ball and being smart at cutting or diving to the rim. And most of his shots are assisted. That's fine. You've got John Conchar, who doesn't have wild numbers, but he is efficient across the board. 53% from the field, 45% from three. His assist to turnover stuff is really good as well. I think he just keeps the ball moving. I think he holds up well defensively. He takes only good shots, and he knows his place. Those types of guys help you win. And so you look on to the rest of the season, and can they hold up in the West? I mean, they're 3.5 games up again on the Nuggets and a whole bunch of teams. I think they can. I'm expecting Jaren Jackson's offense to continue to trend upwards. I mean, we got to remember the guy missed basically an entire season with that meniscus tear. And there's other smaller questions. Kyle Anderson and Tyus Jones are both on 1-year deals, and I don't even know if this team has to make some sort of a move at the deadline, but hey, there's always the possibility of that. So yeah, they're good.